Hello. Yes, I want to talk about something, and so I want to talk about Joe Biden's cognitive decline, which is so interesting that everybody is talking about that. Good morning. It is so interesting because it deals with something that everybody that everybody talks about. Talking about that. Talking means that somebody is saying something and somebody is listening. Yeah, somebody is saying something and somebody else is hearing what they're saying. That's what talking about something means. Yeah, but supposedly Biden's brain or Biden's mind or Biden's cognitive functions, whatever that is, they are declining, and so he loses his train. Yeah, I heard somebody say he loses his train of thought. Train of thought? What the hell is that? Is there a train of thought? That's just a metaphor, ladies and gentlemen. A train of thought is a metaphor for language occurring inside of us. And there is no language inside of us. So when everybody is insisting that we should all be talking about the fact that Biden cannot, I don't know, cannot keep his train of thoughts clear or something like that, he is losing his train of thought. When everybody's talking about that, we are actually talking about thinking, which is actually talking. Do you get that? When are you ever going to get that? When are you ever going to get that there is no inner language and that thought does not exist? That thought is just a metaphor for what we believe to be happening inside of our brain. There is no language in our brain. So what we are referring to is just inner stuff. Yeah, neurons firing, neurotransmitters. Yeah, but there are no words to be found in your brain. There's no language inside of you. You do not have an inner voice. I have said it millions of times. Biden is not losing his train of thought. No, he is losing the ability to speak clearly. And there's a reason why he is losing his ability to speak clearly. Because everybody, at some point, when they begin to listen to themselves, will lose their ability to continue with disembodied language. Yes! So the breakdown of speech, where a person suddenly hears himself and realizes like, oh my gosh, I am not really with it. I am just totally, conflicted. I am paradoxical. I am contradicting myself. I am a total mess. I'm distracted. I cannot keep not my train of thought, but I cannot continue saying what I'm saying. I kind of lost what I was saying. I lost what I wanted to say. What I was trying to say was, oh, is that what it is? So there is no mind. There is no train of thought. There is just what people talk about and what we can hear. And now we are all of a sudden beginning to talk about that. And yes, when a person is no longer capable of speaking clearly, when a person is no longer capable of formulating coherent sentences, when they start rambling, when they start losing it, when they suddenly cannot finish their sentence anymore, you can call it dementia, and of course there is probably neurobiological reasons for it. I have no doubt that doesn't matter. But what I'm talking about is that when you as a speaker who is used to disembodied language, when you as a speaker who does not listen to him or herself while you speak, yeah, you are used to that kind of way of talking in which you do not listen to yourself. And now, all of a sudden, because there is this person here in Chico, California, who is making videos and who's telling you that everybody unknowingly engages in disembodied language, and you've listened to that person, and you have not only just listened to him, you've actually begun to wonder, like, is it true what he's saying? It sounds like it could be true. yes, it is true. We are not listening to ourselves in our usual conversations. We are just pretending to be having our faculties. We are pretending to be in control of ourselves, but we are not really listening to ourselves. Because what is the proof that a person is listening to him or herself? There's proof, yeah, there's evidence which signifies that a person is listening to him or herself. The person who is listening to himself hears his or her own sound, is able to use his own voice as a, yeah, you could say as a self-regulatory mechanism, because every time, let's say me, yeah, and I'm a good example of that, every time I get emotionally aroused, my voice, it sort of changes 2 octaves, yeah, and so, yeah, emotionally aroused can of course happen because of, excitement, and excitement, and also joy, that you are so delighted that you start getting loud, yeah, I have that. But it can also of course be that you start to get loud, demanding, overbearing, yeah, too much, because you're just negative and you are determined by negative emotions, yeah, and so that is what happens in disembodied language. In disembodied language, we as speakers sound forceful, we sound coercive, we sound domineering, we sound demanding, yeah, demanding the attention of the listener is the operational definition of disembodied language. So here again, another proof, this time it is the proof for disembodied language. Yeah, the person whose voice demands the attention of the listener obviously is not listening to himself. Yeah, but when you listen to yourself, you no longer demand the attention of the listener. Now, isn't that clear? Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that succinct? Yeah, you can put it on a small piece of paper, and you can take it with you as a sort of a mantra. No, don't do that. but I'm just saying, all these mantras, they don't work, and this wouldn't work either. But it would be good though to memorize it. It would be good though to sort of investigate it, because if you do, and I hope you will, but it is unlikely that you will, because you're so stuck up with your disembodied language that you won't do it. But if you take the challenge, if you begin to sort of realize, like, wait a second, I believe he is right. He is right that we are indeed engaging almost permanently in a way of talking in which we do not listen to ourselves, in which we as speakers sound demanding. Demanding both in positive as well as in a negative way. Yes. And so, because I can, of course, also, I can feel very happy and still be kind of a disturbance to other people, right? And I can be supposedly very, I don't know, truthful, and still be very, not compassionate, not, how would I say it? Well, here is such a moment, right? A moment where I kind of fall out of my train of thought, not my train of thought, but my way of formulating sentences. What am I trying to say? Well, here I'm going. I am formulating a question. What am I trying to say? I am now engaging in a conversation with myself about what it is that I might want to say. Okay, so this particular sidestep that I'm having, which occurred because I showed you, I demonstrated to you, I talked myself into it basically, into having a little episode of disembodied language. And we do this all the time, right? We all the time are having moments in which, or not moments, we are actually permanently engaging in disembodied language. And because of that, we never experience these breakdowns which need to be talked about. These breakdowns which are not breakdowns of your train of thought. No, these are actually breakdowns of your ability to reason clearly and your way of dealing with language, basically. And that way of dealing with language is determined by whether or not you listen to yourself while you speak. So, as I was saying, and hopefully you can still understand the point that I'm making, as I was saying, the person that I was referring to at the beginning of my recording, Joe Biden, who is supposedly now not capable of maintaining a train of thought, we are all talking about that. And so it's not the train of thought that we're talking about. No, we're talking about talking. And we're talking about the fact that Biden is not good anymore in talking. He cannot finish his sentence, okay? So that is what we're talking about when we're talking about the mind, when we're talking about his thoughts. No, there is no such thing as his thoughts. And yes, we need to get clear on that, because if we keep making it seem as if we have thoughts, if we have a mind, then we do not have this kind of conversation. And that's exactly what we need. We need to have this conversation. Everybody needs to talk about each other's way of talking. Do you get my point, dear listener, dear viewer? We need to talk about each other's way of talking. And about our own way of talking, of course. Because how can we correct ourselves? How can we catch up with ourselves? How can we reconnect with ourselves if we disconnect from ourselves? If we do not notice that we disconnect with ourselves? And as I've said, and as I keep reiterating, we are disconnected from ourselves almost permanently because we unknowingly engage in disembodied language in which we do not listen to ourselves. So, as you can tell, we are dealing with a humongous problem. A problem that has never been clear to us. A problem that has never been articulated correctly, because we were lacking the embodied language in which we could properly address it. And here I am riding my bicycle just at the sunset of this beautiful Tuesday morning, telling you that we can talk about our way of talking in a different way than we usually do, because we do of course talk about what somebody has said, but we do it in a disembodied language manner. So if we address our disembodied language with more of the same disembodied language, things are only getting worse, and we're getting even more disconnected from ourselves. So we need to have embodied language to address our disembodied language. Now, that's what I would like to tell you today. And if we do that, when we do that, that is such a delight, that is such a beautiful phenomenon, because then we get really clear about things. And clarity, that's a word. It's kind of a buzzword these days because of the Biden administration, who has repeated so often, Yeah, the press secretary has repeated it so often. The president has been very clear, and I want to be very clear. I also I don't want to be very clear. I am very clear. And if you do not like my clarity, that doesn't mean that I am not clear. It simply means that you are in denial of what it is to be clear. And of course, you are always in denial of clarity with your disembodied language, because your disembodied language is about endless domination, manipulation, all this maneuvering, all this trickery, yeah, all this propaganda, all this gaslighting, yeah, all this playing the victim card, virtue signaling, whatever. You know, you are endlessly doing that with your disembodied language, playing, yeah, playing also as if you are, oh, I saw a cat going after a bird. Maybe the bird was still escaping, but it may not have managed to do so. Hello. So, and as you can tell, after this, yeah, joyful explanation, after this joyful divulsion of what I was saying, I have created, or I have expressed myself in such a way that I was able to create a moment of silence. Even though there's noise of cars driving by, yeah, you can feel the silence in the background, so to speak, with me in the foreground. So I create a new perspective for you. Do you get that? Yeah, the things in the foreground, they are always bigger. Things in the background are smaller. Yeah, that's called depth perception. And a similar thing occurs in language, obviously. Yeah, things that get our attention, yeah, they seem like things that make us present. But that's not entirely true, because for the most part, things get our attention which prevent us from being in the present. You probably have never really talked with yourself about this, but I have, so I can tell you about it. That the things that demand your attention, or that hold your attention, yeah, they demand your attention because you've never given it your attention. The things that hold your attention unconsciously, so we say, yeah, because we refuse to admit it, or we don't want to go there. There's all sorts of reasons why we hang on to stuff, why we have these beliefs, and why we can't let go. Well, the things that we hang on to, of course, have to do with the fact that we've never talked about it with ourselves. Yeah, you can talk with yourself, you can listen to yourself. You've never done that. You've never done that really, realistically, repeatedly, knowingly, also, yeah, joyfully, that you felt like, hey, this is good, this means something to me. So, yeah, we don't do that. We don't listen to ourselves while we speak. We don't take time to speak with ourselves so that we can listen to ourselves. No, we haven't done that, and probably we're not going to do it. But if you are going to do it, if you're going to do it, you're going to find out there's going to be a breakdown of your disembodied language. Yeah? You will all of a sudden not be able to maintain the speech that you had before. You are not able to you're not able to go on with what you were saying. Because you realize that you want to say something else. And you realize that other thing that you want to say is more important than what you previously wanted to say. And so you basically stop yourself from saying what you were inclined to say. And you're not falling apart, no. You're actually self-correcting. And all of a sudden you are able to say things which are more meaningful, which are more important to you. And which you enjoy more, and which therefore make you happier. Which express what's really going on. Rather than, what you are stuck with. What you have been repeating. And then there's this whole idiotic idea that your mind is supposedly repeating that. No, it's not your mind which repeated that. It is your way of talking which repeats that. Yeah? And it's not just yesterday that you started with this. No, you have been doing this your whole life. Yeah? This what I'm talking about, disembodied language. Yeah? Disembodied language in which you do not listen to yourself has been going on for a long time, for everyone. That's how we were conditioned. And so, once you begin to listen to yourself, you will not like it first. You will feel awkward, or you feel all kinds of resistance. Like, what am I doing, and why is this important? This makes no sense. Initially, you kind of feel like as if you're dragging your heels. Yeah, because you're still stuck with your disembodied language. But then the break occurs. Just like Biden. Just like Joe Biden, who all of a sudden cannot finish his sentence. You suddenly stop yourself in your tracks. And because you talk with yourself, you're not in front of an audience. No, you're just doing this on your own. You're exploring your own language. And lo and behold, if you stop yourself, you don't feel punished. As a matter of fact, you feel relieved. You feel relieved and excited because you are discovering something new. And it's beautiful. So then, your breakdown is all of a sudden not anything bad, but something good. It is something that is renewing you. Sorry, I just gotta sniff my nose. I don't have a tissue with me, so I just gotta sort of spit it out here. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah. So perhaps, and who knows what the future is going to still make clear to us, but I have the impression that the so-called mental decline, which we call dementia, is simply based on the lack of interaction, lack of conversation. And once we begin to talk again, or once we begin to produce the sound again of the language that we would like to hear, there will be some recovery from that decline. And just like there is recovery from your automatic behavior, because once you switch from disembodied language to embodied language, there is, you could say, a discovery, but also a recovery. A recovery of who you really are. Yeah? Because with your embodied language in which you listen to yourself, you are again who you really are, who you have always been, but who you couldn't be with your disembodied language. Oh my gosh, it's such a mess. Okay. So So what we've called dementia, or what we have called cognitive decline, which also deals, of course, with memory loss and all that, problems focusing and all that. We are going to see things very differently. We're going to interpret things very differently, because with embodied language, we realize, like, wow. So we are using our language in a ineffective way, actually, when we are not listening to ourselves. Yeah. And it cannot be good that we are not listening to ourselves. It's just like I'm walking, but I do not look where I'm going. Yeah, that would not be very good for me, would it? Yeah. Or I'm riding my bicycle, and I'm just not paying attention to where my bicycle is heading. Okay, it's the same thing. It's not the same, of course, but it is having to do with, self-directedness, right? Well, you're not directed by yourself, but your behavior either keeps you safe. Your behavior is either having positive consequences, and that pertains, of course, to your language as well, because language is a behavior. Language is not something in and of itself. Language is something that you do, just like riding a bicycle. You also have language. And so, but you do not feel like you have language when you engage in disembodied language, because then language seems to just happen to you. That's why you believe you have thoughts and you have inner language, you have a mind. But that's not true. Yeah. So when you talk about the breakdown of your thoughts, or the inability to think clearly, you need to talk with yourself. And you need to let yourself know what's going on. And by talking out loud with yourself, and by maybe asking a question like, what's going on? What's happening now? Why are you not capable of continuing saying what you're saying? You will begin to have your own answer to your question. You don't want to say what you were saying. You didn't like it. You have something better to say. Good morning. And so if you allow that, if you give yourself permission to sort of explore that, you might become really impressed with yourself, how much more you're able to say to yourself than you have been saying before. And which, of course, is going to happen because you have not been able to be yourself with your disembodied language. So, there's a lot to this. And so, mental health, well, now we're talking about mental health, there's, of course, no such thing as mental health. There is health of your language, which is, of course, embodied language. It is unequivocally true. You cannot deny this. You can, of course, to your own disadvantage. Of course you can. You have denied it your whole life. So what? So now you are investigating, or you are exploring in your own private conversation with yourself, and you talk out loud with yourself. You really say it like I say it out loud. Here I'm talking with myself. Nobody is here. I'm just here by myself on my bicycle. Maybe occasionally somebody hears it when I drive by, but I'm just talking with myself. So you talk with yourself. You say, what's going on? Why am I not happy? Why am I so stressed? Why am I so worried? No, you're not worried. You haven't talked with yourself. You haven't listened to yourself. You have given yourself the wrong instructions. You're not doing these things because you want to. No, you've never listened to the fact that you don't want to do these things. You've never said that to yourself. So, if you say it to yourself, then you instruct yourself correctly, and you will behave accordingly because you've listened to yourself. How can you behave accordingly if your self-instructions are not spoken out loud and are not listened to? Your language does not work for you if you believe that you can think your way out of your problems. Thinking of a solution is completely, absolutely impossible, because there is no such thing as thinking. And what we call thinking of a solution to our problem has never solved any of our problems, has only increased our problems. We have never talked about this, but that's what it is. And yes, thinking have come up with all kinds of other stuff, or thinking, what we call thinking, yeah, the fact that we were not able to speak the way we wanted to speak has resulted in all kinds of other consequences. That's how we should talk about that. Yeah. But okay, obviously, when we are constantly not getting what we really want, when we are constantly not able to be ourselves, we are going to adjust to that. It's kind of like Stockholm syndrome, but then a different version of it. Yeah. Everything we get used to eventually, and so we are also used to that. We accept disembodied language as normal, and so we also then inadvertently consider listening to ourselves. What I do, we consider that as abnormal, as strange, as weird. No, it's not weird. This is the this is the issue of psychological health. You cannot be happy and relaxed and at ease and in touch with yourself if you do not listen to yourself, if you do not speak with yourself. I do that, but you don't. So that's why you don't have this. And you can never have this as long as you don't do this. So, yeah. And right now, it should be clear to you that I'm not losing any train of thought here. I've simply said so much that I'm becoming quiet. Good morning. Have you ever talked with yourself to your heart's content? I have. This is one of those moments. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with anybody. Yeah? Nobody interfering here. I am just my own boss here. I'm my own master. I'm my own authority. Yeah? Nobody tells me what I need to say, or I say what I want to say. And I say it in the way that I want to say it. And I truly, truly mean that, yeah? So I'm not trying to, I don't know, cook up some story here for anyone, also not for myself. Because if I were to do that, if I were to just sort of say something for the sake of saying something, for the sake of, I don't know, trying to be meaningful or something, trying to say something, I don't know, which makes me forget about myself or so, which makes me distract from, I don't know, some problem that I'm having, or that's what we do, right? That's what we do. Our usual way of talking is an enormous distraction from everything that is actually important to us. Yeah. So, but if I do not do that, then I say what is meaningful to me. And then I enjoy what I'm saying. And I am so delighted that I am just on my own, that I'm alone, that I'm not bothered by anybody anymore. Because I was always bothered by, in disembodied language, I was always bothered by other people. Everybody is. Yeah. So this ability to be alone with yourself and to talk out loud with yourself and to listen to yourself is so healthy, so good, so restorative, yeah? And it's so energizing. Yeah. That's how that works. So we're going to experience, if we're going to do this, we're going to experience the breakdown of our disembodied language, where you suddenly hear like you don't sound anymore like you did before. You don't say anymore what you said before. You don't repeat anymore what you've been repeating. No, you are actually saying something new. Yeah. You sound new, and that is what you want to do. That is what you like to do. That's what you like to hear. That's what you can continue with. Yeah, ongoing embodied language. Ongoing embodied language, which is your language enlightenment. Hello. I say it again. Ongoing embodied language, which is your language enlightenment. And the moment you have ongoing embodied language, that the moment your embodied language continues, you are enlightened. And that's, if you listen to me, if you come with me on this journey, even though you are not the one who is achieving this, in the sense that you're not achieving this with your language, you're just listening to me speaking my language, but nevertheless you hear me and you can experience with me what it is. And here now we have arrived at the pool of 1 mile. It's my turning point where I turn around and ride my bicycle back to my home. Such a gorgeous place, and so nice to ride my bicycle here in the cool shade of the trees at the beginning of this hot day, because it is going to be another hot day. We've been having some sort of a heat wave here, and this is the best time of the day to be out. Look how beautiful these trees are here. I just love these trees. And I'm here in this park, or I'm here wherever I am, with the surroundings that I can see and witness. And you too, you are always experiencing your surroundings, and your surroundings are your habits, your behaviors, your behavior, whatever you do and whatever you not do is creating basically your situation. So it's very important to talk with yourself and to correct yourself. And it's very important to have that breakdown of your disembodied language and to talk about that with yourself, not with others, with yourself. And since you haven't done that, and since you have never talked with me, you are unfamiliar with that. And consequently, you are having nothing but problems. Yeah. And these problems, they would begin to disappear, if you just like an alcoholic, who has hit rock bottom. The alcoholic who hits rock bottom has been drinking so much, has been addicted to alcohol so much, that there comes a point when he says, or when she says, okay, enough is enough. And the same is true for the President of the United States. Only when he himself, probably never going to happen really, but when he himself says enough is enough, I can't do this anymore, there will be a change. Yeah, he will certainly not feel as stressful anymore as he was before. Yeah, because he will take himself out of this situation. His behavior will be such that he's no longer in the situation that he's in. And so, yeah, only when enough is enough will we say to ourselves, morning, will we say to ourselves, like, well, okay, I wanted to say what I'm always saying, but I'm just not gonna say it. I just don't want to say it anymore. I'm gonna see what I will say if I don't say what I always say. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of something new. Yeah. We all gotta start somewhere. We gotta all start where we are. Okay. Now, here I'm riding with my bicycle underneath the freeway again. It's always kind of gloomy, you know, when you go underneath the freeway. It's always kind of dark out here. Yeah, just look at that. All these concrete stabilization of the freeway. All right, now from here on it will be less noisy, because that freeway is of course always very noisy. Now I already feel very happy that I've said what I've said, and I know for myself that I have said again something really interesting that I haven't said before. And so, yeah, just for that alone, I already feel that it was worth my while, and it has added something to my understanding, which just keeps increasing. Good morning. Yeah, my understanding of embodied language keeps increasing, keeps growing, keeps being enhanced by every new experience that I have. Can you imagine that your language allows you to be happier and happier, and there's just no end to it? That there are endless feelings of becoming happier and happier? I have that. And yeah, I know it sounds unbelievable. That's the reality that I live in. That's the reality of language enlightenment. The reality which would be yours if you took up the challenge to actually allow that breakdown to occur of your stupid, unintelligent, insensitive, repetitive, forceful, unnatural, disembodied language. Yeah. Yeah. When are you going to let yourself know that you actually don't even want that? That it's not you. How can it be you? You're full of negativity. You're full of stress. You're full of worry. Full of anxiety. Full of anger, frustration, hatred. No, you're not happy with your disembodied language, and you're not happy with all your achievements. You're not happy with all your power. You're not happy with all your, what is it, you know? Your arguments and all your fights and all your, what is it, your importance, your fame. You're not happy. And it is not because there's something wrong with having money or being powerful or being important or being famous. No, it is because you don't have embodied language. Yeah? If you would have embodied language, you would be happy as a clam. You would just really enjoy every day because you can. Hello. And so and so what? And so Maximus can also be silent. Yes. He can also just make a video of him just staring at the camera, showing his blissful face and letting you figure it out. Come on. No. You just do whatever you want. You're probably not going to do it anyway. But that's fine, you know, it's fine. You just love your misery too much. You cannot give it up. Okay, you want to have some more problems? Go ahead. That's how it is. It's unfair or whatever, you know, or that's not fair, but, you know, you do it to yourself. You do it to yourself, and yet you don't know that you do it to yourself. Yeah? You only know that you're doing this to yourself when you have embodied language. When you take your life into your own hands, when you become the authority.
Yeah. Well, I've seen the kiddie pools that just like they dump bags in there. The dogs just following them.
Ay. I need to take a little break here. In a little while, I'm gonna sit near the water for some moments. Yeah, it is a good spot. You know, that's the only thing that's a bit difficult with this bicycle. It's a wonderful bicycle, but after I ride it for a while, my butt starts to hurt. But here I can show you this part of the creek, which is so wonderful. This creek runs through the park here. And I remember the first day that Bonnie and I, when we came to Chico, and when we actually came here to check it out. That was at the time I was we were living in the Bay Area. That was when we had just arrived to the United States from Holland, and we were living in San Leandro. And then we drove up here, and there was hardly any water in the creek. There was such a dry summer. We sat here, we ate our lunch together, and here there's a barbecue. People can also barbecue here. And that's when we decided to take the jump to come here, and that's when I started a whole new chapter in my life here in Chico. And it has been so good. You know, we were gone from Chico for a while. I studied psychology in the Bay Area. And so we lived for some years also in Palo Alto, or in Mountain View actually. And but luckily, yes, at the time it was not so lucky. At the time it was quite a miserable experience, or a sad experience actually, but a good experience nevertheless. At the time I withdrew from my graduate study in psychology at the very last moment. And I didn't get the PhD, but we returned to Chico, luckily, to be in this beautiful environment. And yeah, that's where I became a psychology instructor for many years, and that's where I worked in mental health for many years, and I did my studies also, of course, and that's where also through the years I have further explored my embodied language. Yeah. And many people have come and gone, many people, all these students that I've had, but also individuals that I've talked with who are no longer there and who, for whatever reason, do not feel any longer to be with me. And of course you could say that I have, prevented them, or I have let them know that I don't want to be with them anymore, which is true. But they could have also said, no. They could have also said, no, I want to be with you. But they don't say that. They don't say that. They don't want to be with me. As a matter of fact, it is oftentimes the case, actually each time it has been the case up till now, that I was the one who had to admit at some point that I felt like, no, it's not going where I want to go and where I want to take this. And so my conversations with others, they always in some way or other stop me from having embodied language. And so I had to sort of just say, no, I want to go on with embodied language. Goodbye. You go on with your disembodied language. I don't want to go on with that. Yeah. And if you don't want to know it, that it is disembodied language, well, fine, but I call it disembodied language. That's how it is for me. Yeah. And so, But of course, I always wanted other people to know about this. And so I was myself to be blamed if anybody was to be blamed. I mean, of course, there's no blame. It's just almost inevitable that when you discover embodied language, anybody that has, even if they've only briefly been busy with this, anybody that has sort of noticed the difference between their embodied language and their disembodied language, anybody would be inclined to want to talk about that with other people. But that's exactly the reason why you prevent yourself from having embodied language. And because once you have embodied language like I do right now, you're just talking with yourself. And if you have embodied language with somebody else, you are just having embodied language with this other person, because this other person is also talking with him or herself. And it makes no sense to say that you're talking with each other, because you're just talking with yourself. It's a big discovery, which is too much for most people, because it is the total breakdown of who you believe to be. Yeah, I can't help it that language enlightenment is like that. And I have had to learn how to live with it too. Oh my God. Yeah. No. Now this is a good point to end my conversation. If you meet him, or if you happen to have the connections, just let Biden know about this also, and you also make sure you mention, let Corinne Jean-Pierre know about this, because I know she wants to be very clear. She means well, and we all mean well, but it's not going anywhere. And this is the only way in which we can get very clear. Now, okay. Bye.